can you believe the world's most dangerous dictator started as a boy who only wanted to be an artist? This is the shocking story of Hitler, and the lessons we must never forget. Welcome to Easy English Official. In this video, we will explore the life of Adolf Hitler in simple English that everyone can understand. This is not just a history lesson. It is a powerful story about how one man's hate and hunger for power changed the entire world. You will learn how his dream to become an artist failed, how his anger grew, how he turned that anger into power, and how his leadership brought terrible darkness. More importantly, we will learn the lessons that history teaches us, so we never repeat the same mistakes again. Chapter 1. From a Dream to Hate. Hitler's story begins not with power or politics, but with a dream. As a young boy in Austria, he loved to draw and paint. His hope was to become a great artist one day. He believed art could give him a future full of beauty. When he grew older, Hitler applied to the famous art school in Vienna. He wanted to study painting and prove his talent. But the school did not accept him. This rejection was a painful moment in his life. It broke his dream and left him feeling lost. Instead of giving up, he tried again the next year. He hoped maybe the second chance would be different. But once again, the art school said no. The answer was another rejection, and the pain grew even stronger. These failures were more than just closed doors. They became heavy wounds in his heart. Hitler began to see himself not as a future artist, but as someone the world did not want. His disappointment slowly turned into anger. Life in Vienna was not easy after these failures. Hitler lived in cheap housing and struggled with money. He often painted small pictures to sell, but it was not enough to survive well. Hunger and poverty made him bitter. At this time, Vienna was full of different cultures and communities. Many people lived together with different religions and traditions. Instead of seeing this as richness, Hitler began to develop negative feelings. He started to blame others for his hard life. His anger was no longer only about art. It became connected to the world around him. He saw groups of people as the reason for his failure. This thinking was dangerous, but it was growing inside him. When World War I started, Hitler joined the German army. For him, the war gave a purpose and a sense of belonging. He felt strong as a soldier. Fighting for Germany gave him pride he had never felt before. But the war ended in a painful defeat for Germany. The Treaty of Versailles punished the country with heavy costs and shame. Hitler, like many soldiers, felt betrayed and angry. The defeat cut deep into his spirit. This defeat did not heal the anger from his youth. Instead, it made it stronger. The boy who once wanted to paint pictures now carried hate and revenge inside. His dream had turned into something dark. He began to believe that he was meant for something greater. But instead of creating art, he now dreamed of power. He thought he could fix Germany and give it back its pride. His ideas started to grow into political thoughts. The story of Hitler's failed dream is more than a small detail. It shows how rejection and pain can change a person. What might have been an artist's life became the path of a dictator. The dream of color turned into the shadow of war. As he moved from place to place, his anger became a constant companion. Each memory of failure felt like proof that the world was against him. He carried these memories like fuel for his future ideas. He learned to speak with passion and fire. When he talked, people listened. At first, it was about his own problems. Later, it became about Germany's problems. his personal pain mixed with national anger. This mix created a dangerous path. Instead of letting go of hate, he held on to it. He believed hate could give him strength, and many people, also angry from the war, began to follow his words. What started as the story of a failed artist was turning into something much darker. His speeches became more than personal stories. They became promises of revenge and power. People who had also suffered after the war wanted hope. They listened to his anger because it sounded like their own. Hitler's personal hate began to spread like fire among the people. The young man who had once dreamed of colors on a canvas was now painting pictures with words. But these words were filled with anger, not beauty. They were not about art, but about enemies. Step by step, the dream of an artist became the birth of a dictator. The canvas of his life was no longer a painting. It was the dark story of power and hate. And this was only the beginning. The lesson from this chapter is clear. Personal failure can hurt deeply, but what we do with that pain matters. Hitler chose anger, and the world would later pay the price. Chapter 2. Turning anger into power. After World War I, Germany was broken and weak. The country lost much land and had to pay a lot of money. People were poor, hungry, and angry. Many Germans felt hopeless about the future. In this time of pain, Hitler returned from the war. He was angry about Germany's defeat. He believed someone had betrayed the country. This anger gave him a reason to enter politics. He found a small political group in Munich. This group later became the Nazi Party. Hitler joined it and quickly became a strong voice. His speaking skills made him stand out. Hitler had a gift with words. He could turn his own anger into powerful speeches. When he spoke, people felt their emotions reflected in his words. They began to trust him as a leader. He told people that Germany's problems were not their fault. Instead, he blamed Jewish people and other groups. This was a dangerous lie, but many people believed it. At first, his party was small and weak. But as the economic crisis grew worse, more people began to listen. The promise of a better life was attractive to those who had lost everything. Germany's economy collapsed in the 1920s. People lost jobs, homes, and savings. Hitler used this sadness to his advantage. He promised to fix everything and make Germany strong again. Step by step, his influence grew. His speeches filled stadiums with people. His words gave hope, but also planted hate. The more he spoke, the more followers he gained. The Nazi Party started to use symbols and flags. These visuals made people feel united. They felt like part of a strong movement, not just a small group. Hitler also learned to use fear. He said that enemies were everywhere, waiting to destroy Germany. This fear made people feel they needed him as their protector. In the early 1930s, the world faced the Great Depression. Millions of Germans suffered even more. This crisis gave Hitler the chance he had been waiting for. He promised food, jobs, and pride. People were desperate, so they trusted him. His party gained more power in elections. Slowly, democracy gave way to dictatorship. In 1933, Hitler was chosen as chancellor. This was a legal position, gained through a democratic process. But once he had power, he began to destroy democracy. He passed new laws that gave him control. He silenced newspapers, banned other parties, and arrested opponents. The dream of freedom in Germany quickly disappeared. Many people did not understand the danger at first. They thought he was just a strong leader. But soon, his true plan became clear: total control. Hitler used propaganda to spread his ideas. Posters, films, and radios repeated his messages day and night. People heard his words so often that they began to believe them. The Nazi Party also created youth groups. Children were taught to follow Hitler. They grew up believing his ideas were the truth. Hate became part of their education. By the mid-1930s, Hitler had complete control of Germany. His anger had turned into power, and his power turned into dictatorship. The boy who failed at art now ruled a nation. This chapter shows how dangerous words can be. Anger, fear, and lies can bring people together, but in the wrong way. Hitler turned pain into power, and the results would soon change the world. Chapter 3: The Dark Leadership and Its Results. When Hitler became the leader of Germany, he promised a strong and proud future. Many people believed him at first. They thought he would bring jobs and hope, but his leadership soon brought fear and darkness. One of his most terrible actions was the Holocaust. Hitler believed that Jewish people and others were enemies. He wanted to remove them from society. This idea led to one of history's worst crimes. The Nazis created concentration camps. These were prisons where millions of innocent people were sent. They were not only Jewish people, but also Romani people, disabled people, and political opponents. Inside these camps, life was full of pain. People had little food, no freedom, and no safety. Families were separated, and many never saw each other again. It was a nightmare that lasted for years. The Holocaust killed more than 6 million Jewish people. It also destroyed countless communities and cultures. The world had never seen such organized cruelty before. While this was happening, Hitler also started a war. In 1939, he ordered Germany to invade Poland. This was the beginning of World War II. It was a war that soon spread across the globe. Countries like Britain, France, and later the United States joined the fight. They wanted to stop Hitler's aggression. What began as one invasion turned into the largest war in history. The war brought destruction everywhere. Cities were bombed, homes were lost, and millions of soldiers and civilians died. The world entered a time of fear and sadness. Hitler believed he could win by taking more land. He wanted an empire that stretched across Europe. His armies moved quickly, and at first they were successful. But as the war continued, resistance grew stronger. The Soviet Union and the Allies fought back. Slowly, Germany began to lose battles and lose hope. Hitler refused to accept defeat. He pushed his soldiers harder and harder. Many German people also suffered under his rule. His promise of pride had become endless suffering. The war caused more than 70 million deaths worldwide. This number is almost impossible to imagine. Entire generations were lost, and countries were left in ruins. By 1945, Germany was surrounded. Allied forces closed in on Berlin. Hitler knew the end was near, but he refused to surrender. His dream of empire was collapsing. In April 1945, Hitler stayed in a bunker under the city of Berlin. The world above him was falling apart, but he could not face the defeat he had created. On April 30th, 1945, Hitler killed himself inside the bunker. His rule ended not with victory, but with death and destruction. His dark leadership was over. When the war ended, the truth about the Holocaust was revealed. The world saw the terrible crimes of the Nazis. The pictures and stories shocked humanity. The world promised never to forget. The Holocaust became a warning for future generations. It showed how hate and power can destroy millions of lives Hitler's leadership brought nothing good. His words were full of promises, but his actions were full of hate. His story is a clear example of how one leader can bring disaster. The results of his rule remind us that leaders must be chosen carefully. Anger and hate can never lead to peace. Hitler's leadership ended in darkness, but the lesson remains for all of us today. Chapter 4. Lessons from History. The story of Hitler is not only about the past, it is also about the future. His mistakes are lessons for us all. If we forget them, history can repeat itself. One lesson is about hate. Hate can begin small, but if it grows, it can destroy. Hitler's hate started with his personal pain. Later, it became the reason for millions of deaths. We must learn to stop hate before it grows. Hate never solves problems, it only creates more pain. Understanding this is the first step to a better world. Another lesson is about extreme ideas. When a leader says one group of people is the problem, we must be careful. This is often a way to control others. Hitler used people's anger and fear to gain power. Many believed his words without asking questions. Blind trust in leaders can be very dangerous. That is why we must think for ourselves. We should always ask, is this true? Is this fair? Independent thinking can protect us from lies. Education is also important. If people know history, they can see warning signs. Learning about Hitler helps us understand how dangerous hate and power can be. Kindness is another lesson. No matter where we come from, we should respect each other. Differences should not divide us. They should make life richer. If Germans at that time had refused to hate their neighbors, history could have been different. It shows us that our choices matter. Each person can help stop hate. Leaders must be held responsible. Power should never belong to one person alone. Democracy is strong when people have a voice. When democracy is weak, dictators can rise. Hitler destroyed Germany's democracy quickly. That mistake must never be repeated. The media also plays a big role. Hitler used propaganda to control people. Today, we must be careful about the information we believe and share. Freedom is fragile. Once it is lost, it is hard to get back. Hitler took away freedom step by step. That is why protecting rights is so important. The Holocaust teaches a special lesson. It reminds us of the value of every life. No group should ever be treated as less human. Remembering the victims is part of learning. We honor their memory by refusing to repeat the same crimes. Forgetting would be dangerous. History is a mirror. When we look at Hitler's story, we see what hate and lies can do, but we also see how we can choose another path. The choice is ours today. We can choose kindness, truth, and respect, or we can ignore history and make the same mistakes again. Every generation must learn these lessons. If not, new dictators can rise. The danger is always there when people forget. The story of Hitler ends in death and destruction. But our story can be different. We can build a world of peace and understanding. The final lesson is clear. History is not just about yesterday. It is about today and tomorrow. What we learn from Hitler's life can protect the future. Hitler's life shows us the danger of hate, lies, and blind trust in one leader. But his story also gives us hope, because by remembering the past, we can build a kinder and stronger future. Thank you for watching Easy English Official. If you learned something today, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can learn English and history together. Together, we can keep the lessons of the past alive for a better tomorrow.